Okay, so we're ready for our next guest who's going to join the broadcast. We have Jason Mollica, who is a professor, and he's also the program director for the online master's degree for strategic comms at American University. So let's get Jason in here. Hi, Jason.
Hey, how's everyone doing? Hello, Richard. Hello, Deirdre. Good to see you.
Hello. It's great to see you. And is this the first time the two of you are meeting?
Unfortunately, yes, it is. I wish we had met in person, but now I feel very underdressed because Richard is looking resplendent in his with the tie, and I only have a shirt without a tie on. So I'm sorry. I should, but I am wearing blue, so I'm trying to match the book a little bit.
As long as you're in the blue code, you're good, and we think you look great, Jason. So thank you. We're just happy that you're here. And it's so nice to get your perspective because you're doing a lot in the classroom. And maybe that's where we'll start with Q&A. Richard, you're up with the first question.
Well, Jason, it's a pleasure to meet you. We've had some social media handshakes, so it's nice to have a virtual handshake.
Same here.
Thank you. So speaking about your students, how do you educate students to always do the right thing, especially when no one's looking?
That's an absolutely outstanding question. It's funny. I've probably talked about ethics and how you go about maintaining an ethical standard more in the last number of years, unfortunately, than I would have liked. Students ask, what do we do when we see the examples of unethical behavior in front of us? And I always say, if you can end up feeling good about that decision to uphold your own ethical standards, things that you learn from your parents, your grandparents, good friends, or even mentors, things that in your heart and in your belly and in your mind that are true and are not, basically, kind of a window dressing, then it should make it easier for you to make that decision to say, I'm not going to cross that line. Let someone else do it. And let the mistake and let the wall fall on them. And so, but it is a very tough thing to tell a young professional. How do you tell someone that has only experienced 2 internships to say, nope, stand up for yourself against that person with 15 to 20 years experience? It's not easy. And I relate my own stories about, trying to maintain ethical standards. The one thing I will say, and yes, it did come, later in my career when I was in television and radio, was my boss always told me this. And he said, I'd rather you be last and right than first and wrong. And to me, that is something that can be related to ethics as well. If you're the last person to get the right answer out there, the most accurate answer, that means you're upholding your own ethical standards to say, I'm not just going to shove something out there and hopefully it sticks. I want to make sure that it's the most accurate, the most trustworthy, transparent thing to do or statement to put out. And if you can do that, then you're not going to have to worry most of the time about backtracking. So I would say I try my best to tell the students that, look, that first time you're presented with this situation where you have to maintain your ethical standards, there is going to be a lot of sweat. There's going to be a lot of stomach churning. But at the end of the day, if you get let go from a job, or you end up getting fired because the person that fires you felt that, well, you didn't take one for the team, you don't need to be working there. And you can learn a lot more from people by making a mistake instead of making an ethical error, because ethical error shouldn't be in the same sentence. Mistake is okay. Ethical errors should never be uttered in the same sentence.
Right. No, you make a lot of great points. So last to be right rather than first to be wrong. Mm-hmm. I agree 100%. And social media breeds the feeling of gotta get it out. And I think one of the questions and answers in the book really had to do with checking what you're retweeting and who you're supporting when you go out there and communicate, because it has to be beyond just what you see. You have to dig a little bit deeper. You might be retweeting a bot. It could be fake news. It's not a real source. There's no statistics. There's no experts quoted. Being much more careful. Richard, any thoughts on the whole social media and really trying to get it out there and conduct?
It's a great dilemma right now, especially for compliance teams. If we can, it'd be interesting to see what Jason says about this, because if you have your personal Twitter account, for example, or your personal Instagram account, I think in our hyper-transparent world, like it or not, we're brand ambassadors. So it's not just as simple as, well, that's my personal Twitter account. I can retweet, and DM whoever I want. We really need to appreciate that whatever we do on social media, while it's representing our personal issues and things that we're passionate about, we're also organizational brand ambassadors. So it's a much deeper and wider conversation than, well, that's just my personal, social media channel. We need to think about, well, what is that saying for your organization?
That is so true. A lot of professionals don't realize, even just having the name of their company in their profile, that they stand as a representative. So you carry your brand with you and your companies as well. So, and Jason, I'm just curious. I've been doing a lot of work around millennials and also looking at Gen Z who are in college. Are you getting the feeling that the comments that they have, that maybe younger generations will question more, that they won't just take things at face value? I've had a couple interns on teams recently who literally said, stop, wait, why? And I put it in the book. Why are we doing this? This doesn't make sense right now. And we're like, okay. So do you see that from students? Are they questioning more, especially around ethics?
I think so. And maybe it's a small sample size, but I would say since we had been online a lot, having to be, all classes were online, and meeting with students and, Zooming with them, weekly, and having conversations with them, you could see that they were, not that they wouldn't have done this even if there wasn't a pandemic, but you could really see that it was weighing on students, that they were bothered by what was going on and seeing unethical behavior. And there would be questions about, what's going on around this, and why are we seeing this? And they wanted to be the ones that were, maybe they weren't taking up the flag and marching down the street to say we need more, we stand for ethics. But it is something that I was impressed with, to see that, yeah, there are a lot of students, and not just communications, people, students that are looking at strategic communications. It's across all the fields, in many ways, that students, young people do want, in many ways, they want to be able to trust, and they want to see transparency with the brands they believe in. We've all seen the studies. We've read it from, whether it's whether it's this study or another study from another company that says, young people want something. They want to feel like their brands are active. They want to feel like they can support a brand if they stand for something politically, or whether it just be a simple issue, at least, whether it's more green, more green space or things along those. So
they have a cause.
Right. And that's a point where, when in talking with students, you do see how important it is to them to be, to feel like they are making an impact. And honestly, getting a chance to talk with certain students over the last 16 months, via online more than in the classroom, obviously, you can see that they are really activated. They have taken a real interest in making sure that as we move forward here, we see more ethical behavior. I think people, especially young people, are tired of hearing and seeing the same things happening, seeing the constant negative nature of how things are going. And I'm not just talking politics, obviously. I'm talking about how things are communicated. And on social, let's be honest, we see a lot of, vitriol. And I think young people are tired of that. They want to be able to, go online and share things about themselves, but they also want to be able to feel like what they're saying is not frivolous. They have something to say. And when they have something to say that's worth it, they want to be heard and they want to be taken seriously. And I think in many ways they are continuing, or they are starting to be heard more seriously now, I think, than I would say in the past 20 years.
Excellent. Well, Jason, we're going to leave it at that, because leaving on the note of activated and want to be heard, it's a beautiful thing.
Sure is.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We're going to pop you in the green room and we'll see you for the Q&A. Thank you.
You got it.
Thanks, Jason.
Thank you.